Welcome to the Wildcats podcast, coming to you from Wildcats Studios with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the Wildcats podcast live round two preview. I'm here with Mr. Jeremy Boucher, not in the studio, sadly, but in the hallway of the Wildcats, I take it, eh?
That's right. I'm hanging out in the dressing room, the walkway to the entrance. That seems where I'm
sitting on the floor.
Seems where I'm hanging out. Got one of the boys here in the back of me, getting ready for game day.
Yeah, just sitting on the floor, eh? No big deal.
Yeah, just hanging out, just having a seat, keeping it warm.
That is, it's a good spot. It's a good spot to be. As always, this is brought to you by Alpha's Appliance Solutions, KitchenAid built-in savings event. Save $600 when you purchase any 3 qualifying KitchenAid built-in major appliances. Save $800 when you purchase any 4, $1,200 when you purchase 5 or more from now until June 4th. We know our opponent.
We
finally know our opponent. How do you feel on our opponent?
You know what? I'm kind of looking forward to it. You know, it's the whole matchup of, you know, the regular season success against Cape Breton was definitely had me a little worried, you know, going into the playoffs, right. You know, getting that different matchup, different time of the year, never know what's going to happen kind of thing. And let's be honest, I almost got sick of Cape Breton too. If there's one thing I like is, you know, seeing different teams and specifically seeing Quebec teams a little more. This is going to allow that to happen. And, you know, there's definitely been a bit of a, you know, playoff rivalry between between Moncton and Baie Comeau here in the past. And so it's, you know, that's going to, you know, bounce on over to this series. So I'm looking forward to getting things started there Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, for two teams that don't play a lot in the regular season against each other, there is the built-in rivalry. And it's the second time in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years we've played them. Selfishly, I wanted Cape Breton for the 2-2, 1-1-1, just so I could go to Cape Breton for games 3 and 4, possibly. Not that I can't go to Baie Comeau, but game 5 will be when my family's here. So, hey guys, thanks for coming across the country. I'm going to head to Baie Comeau to watch a hockey game for a week. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see Baie Comeau and see the teams that, you know, we don't generally see, but we watched them in the playoff series against Cape Breton. We kind of have an understanding of what they are. Now they are a little bit depleted, but we're going to get into that here in just a couple minutes. And I think it's a perfect time. I think we have a guest with us. He's waiting backstage. He's making his second appearance, his first live appearance with us. So welcome in Dave Reed. He's Drakkar fanatic on the Twitter sphere. Dave, how's it going?
Well, I'm perfectly fine. Thanks for having me once again.
No problem. I guess before we look ahead, I guess just look back. A lot of people maybe thought Baie Comeau and Cape Breton from last year to this year might have gone 6-7 games, might have been a little tighter. What did you see in that series?
I thought that it was going to be a tight series from the get-go. I thought it was going to go in 7, honestly, but I think it would have been tighter if Jakub Milota would have started in net from the get-go for Cape Breton. And it was a good show. Well, it was a good test of Baie Comeau's depth as well. I mean, we saw Alexis Bernier and Justin Poirier go down with injuries late in the season, so it was a good test of depth, and I think the guys came through pretty well.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you brought up depth, and of course the injuries to Bernier and Poirier didn't help. I think a lot of people when they saw those injuries, they didn't give you guys much of a chance in that series. I guess other than depth, what did you see kind of as a difference maker?
Lucas Beckman for a 17-year-old goalie, I think he is lights out, and he was a difference maker, definitely.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think well, I mean, revisionist history. If Malota plays, you're probably looking at a different series. But we go to round 2 now, and I mean, we played you twice. Moncton beat Baie Comeau twice. It was in the first half, though, so a lot of these teams have changed. This is obviously the third time that these two teams have squared off. 0-4, 4-0 sweep for Moncton. 18 was a 4-3 underdog victory for Moncton, and then obviously 2023, everybody remembers, as Kelsey Ivany just said. I remember Barbashev's goal versus Baie Comeau 2 years ago. I think we all do in this little group here. 2 of us are a little bit happier with it.
Yeah, all too well.
Yeah, you can't look at the regular season success against Baie Comeau for me because it was different goaltending for us. It was a different team for us. It was a different team for you. But just what is this series looking like for you as we look ahead?
Well, let's be honest. I don't think that it's a secret for anyone. I mean, I think Moncton is the team to beat, obviously, and Baie Comeau. I personally think that Baie Comeau is going to have to bring everything that they have to the table for even a glimmer, a slight chance of beating Moncton, because Moncton, they have the offense, they have the defense, they have the goaltending. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. If they pull it off, it's going to be because they gave everything they had. And like I said, the depth is going to have proven more effective than many people thought that it would be.
Mm-hmm. And I think we know that I think it was announced that Bernier is going to be out for the entire playoffs. What's the status of Poirier coming into the series? I think it was a 4-week timeline for him at the beginning of the playoffs. So we're kind of in that 2.5-week period now. Any guesses? Do we see him in the series at some point? Is he going to be out for the entire second round? What are you hearing? In your side of the
Well, the rumors that I'm seeing so far is that he might be back towards the end of the series. I mean, 2 weeks ago he was out for a month, so we're at the halfway point there. So if the series goes the distance, he could be back for maybe games 5, 6, or 7, from what I see. But I'm not in. I'm not in. I don't know. I need.
Or you do know, and you just don't want to you just don't want to reveal it to the world here.
No, I'm seriously. I don't know, but I'm just saying this off the top of my head. Like, he could be back for game 5, but only he knows.
Yeah,
and the medical staff.
True. Like Jeremy said before we recorded our podcast, if it had gone to 7, he was calling Poirier was going to play game 7, at least suit up, maybe play power play minutes. Obviously, they didn't need that. But I talk about the 2023 series, and there's 5 guys from each team that were on that both squads: Poirier, Malofsky, Plord, Lavoie, Bernier, Morin, Smith, Mercier, Grenier, Sampson. Collard was actually playing for Baie Comeau in that series. Now he's on to this. How much is that in the back of these minds of those 5 players, that will likely play most of the series, in terms of remembering what that was? And everybody was quite young. They were rookies or second-year players. But just, Lavoie is now the captain. He was in that. Tim Moran's a top 2 defenseman for us. Smith has been a top player in these playoffs. Just what do you think the message from those 5 to the rest of the group is? I mean, they went all the way to the finals last year. As you're saying, it looks like it's an uphill battle this year. Just what's that message for those that were in that series for Baie Comeau?
Well, I think first off, the first message that's going to be deployed is discipline. Don't let Moncton get the power play out, because or else it could be lethal. And like you said, they went to the final last year, and so close yet so far. So I think that they're gonna want to try to repeat it. We're like going back to the final, as well as you say that it's fresh in our minds. The series from 2023, it's fresh in our minds, but it's probably fresh in their minds too. So they're probably going to want redemption after what happened 2 years ago. So I expect that. I think it's going to be. I think they're going to come out guns blazing, just like they did in games 5 and 6 against Cape Breton.
Yeah.
If they do that, they have a chance at going the distance.
And that's kind of it. Like, I think the Ramparts caught Moncton off guard. We didn't see the real Wildcats in that series. So it's, if Baie Comeau comes in Friday night and catches Moncton on a bad night, we could be in for. There's some people saying that this series is over in 5. I don't think it's over in 5. I think we're going to be in for a much longer series than that. I wouldn't be surprised.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, well, from your standpoint, I think from. I really do think this will be when Moncton tastes defeat for the first time in 20 games, and it's going to be a matter of how they rebound from it. Adam and I have always said if Moncton's going to beat themselves, right? If they're obviously a top team and they're going to beat themselves. And you mentioned the power play. I mean, we haven't had much luck on the power play, so it's the
number looks high, but it's inflated a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call it a lethal power play. What do you see as kind of like the if there's an X factor in this series for both teams, who do you see that being?
I'm gonna go like what I said for Cape Breton, goaltending. It's all going to depend on whether Lucas Beckman stands on his head or if Moncton catches him on a bad night, because whoever you guys put in, I mean, you guys have goaltender starter A, starter B. So our incumbent starter is Lucas Beckman, except that I just hope that he's not going to have too much pressure on his shoulders. I mean, he is still 17 years old, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's still 17 years old, and I just hope that he's going to be able to live up to the pressure of facing the top of the league.
Yeah, he's got a great future.
He's definitely.
Yeah. I remember the game here in Moncton. He just kept making all these, save after save. I think Adam and I were getting frustrated. You're watching the game just because it was, he's kind of getting in our minds a little bit. No, you're right. We've got a 1A, 1B goaltending. It'll be interesting to see really who starts this first game, for Moncton. Whether it's Russo or Guimont.
Did Guimont play Baie Comeau this year?
No, neither one of these goaltenders did. It was both.
Well, maybe Russo played them when he was in Halifax.
He might have played them. Actually, that's an excellent question. Give me 2 seconds, and I'll go find that out for you. I think the X factor for me is a guy that nobody really knows about, and that's Skogan Schrott. I think he came out of nowhere, and he kind of. I think he had 4 or 5 points for Baie Comeau against Cape Breton, and I think he's a player
3 goals. 2 goals in game 1.
He's a player that if you let him. He's shown he can score. So I think for Baie Comeau, I would expect he would be my X factor. What about you, Jeremy?
Oh no, he's a scrappy little guy. He's a feisty little player.
I think if we can in that first series against Quebec, our that line of Vidicek and Coetier and Mercier didn't really get going till game 4. I think if those 3 guys get going in this series. And the sumped in way Pekarchuk line is they're rolling too. It could be over a little, in 4. I'm not going to say 4, sorry, 5 games. But if
well, you never know.
If Baie Comeau can hold those guys off the score sheet, I think we're easily in for a 6 or 7 game series. I think if I'm going to do an X factor in this series, I'll go with Max Cote. I think he's ready to really show what he was brought into Moncton to do. He proved it in the regular season, and I think he's just ready to take off. He plays playoff hockey, and I think he's waiting for his moment. And I think his moment's going to be this series.
Yeah, it appears Kelsey got the question before I did. Russo played against Baie Comeau with Halifax on their road trip here, and they lost 2-1 in Halifax. So he has at least played them. I don't know who will start. Jeremy and I have gone back and forth on goalies for about a month or so and never seem to be right. So we're just going to flip a coin the night before and hope we're right. But I guess looking around, actually, before we look around at the other series, I mean, what is your prediction there, Dave?
It pains me to say it, but I think sorry, I think Moncton is just too formidable for Baie Comeau to get rid of. So I'm going to say Moncton. My heart is going to say 6. But my mind, I don't know, something in the back of my mind says 5 for Moncton. So, yeah. Moncton and 6.
We'll take either one. I guess looking at the other series, obviously Rimouski and Chicoutimi, those two teams very well being in your division, seeing them a lot of the times. I guess just your overall thought on that series and your prediction.
Oh, well, first of all, Rimouski is earlier I said that Moncton was the team to beat. Well, Rimouski isn't far behind. I mean, they also made a lot of significant moves at the trade deadline. And as Memorial Cup hosts, they made it so that they're going to go far in the tournament and in this playoff run. Whereas Chicoutimi, well, they're supposed to be the up-and-coming powerhouse. I mean, a lot of people view them as next year's powerhouse with Massé, Lecomte, Desruisseaux, Guité, Wang, Précourt in net. So I think that this is going to be a good test for Chicoutimi's sense of character, but I think that overall Rimouski is going to come out on top just because of the overall firepower that they have, and I think it's going to be Rimouski in 5.
All right, I like that. We're going to save ours till the end of the show. The surprising Halifax Mooseheads, which I don't think a lot of people picked them. Actually, I can almost guarantee nobody picked them. At least Jeremy and I gave them one game. I think a lot of people picked sweeps in that, but what do you think on that one?
I can't say that I followed Rouen or Halifax a lot this season, but just for the fun of it, I want to say Halifax at 7. Just because, what the heck?
Yeah, they're playing with house money and they got nothing to lose. And if it happens, you're on tape saying you're the only one that picked them. So you're gonna look like a genius, and then finishing up Shawinigan and Sherbrooke.
Yeah, Shawinigan and Sherbrooke. That's going to be an interesting series. But I think Shawinigan's going to come out just on top in 6.
6, all right. That's not.
Yep.
I think
Shawinigan takes it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of.
Excuse me, I missed that last part. I think it cut.
Oh, I just said I think that's a lot of people are going to have your same predictions. Likely myself included. I think you may be the only one that takes Halifax, and I like that. Why not, right? Like they got nothing to play for, and we've seen Steinman play well.
Exactly.
That small ice and run around is a different story for me. But yeah, man, it was great to have you join us to help preview this. I'm assuming you're going to be at all 3 games.
All 3? No. I'm not actually from Baie Comeau. I live 2.5 hours away, and it's kind of hard for me to make it to every game, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Oh,
unfortunately, but I do follow. I follow from a distance. So yes, I will be watching, but probably not in the house.
Not live. Oh, maybe you told us that you lived that far away. I may have forgot that. Yeah. Perfect, man. Well, again, for those watching and want to follow you and your takes on this series, or just engage with you on the old Twitter sphere, where do people find you on the socials?
Well, on X, on Twitter sphere, Drakkar Fanatic. On Instagram, Master Reed 39, and just plain old David Reed on Facebook, if ever you guys are interested.
Perfect, man. We appreciate you joining our live, and enjoy the series, and hopefully it's a long one, but more beneficial to us.
Yes, and I hope you guys have a fun series too, and I hope that we're going to have an excellent battle between two teams. And again, thank you guys for having me once again. This is totally rad, man.
No problem. We appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into too much of it, but he's kind of right. I think Lucas Beckman is the key to this series for Baie Comeau, just as Deneau was the key in the Quebec series.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, he was obviously outstanding against Cape Breton. Can he keep it going for another series? That's to be determined. It's going to be. He's obviously going to be one of the premier goalies in the league in a year or two, and it's going to be It's going to be fun to watch him develop here. He's in a good spot there in Baie Comeau, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Justin Poirier at some point in this series.
Yeah, I think if the series comes back to Moncton, I think he's on that flight or on that bus. I'm assuming the teams are flying. I mean, if Cape Breton flew, I would assume Moncton's probably flying along with Baie Comeau. So, I think we see him if that series shifts back to just trying to see how many shots Beckman faced on average. 203 divided by 6. So he's faced about 33 shots. So he's probably going to be a little above that for most of the series. As Moncton's 40 shots is kind of what they've been averaging. But do you want to look at this one first, or do you want to look at the rest of them kind of quickly before we get back to this one?
Yeah, let's do this one first. Might as well.
A little bit more nervous than I was against Quebec. I'll tell you that much. I think this is a team that plays a different style than Quebec did. Quebec was, as we mentioned a few times, took away our time and space. We're physical. We're in our face. I think Baie Comeau can kind of keep up with Moncton. So I think they present a different challenge. I think we're in for a bit of a longer series than a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I was kind of writing things down today, and I almost went as far as saying this is going to be a 7-game series. I really think it is.
Well, 2 of the last 3 have been, so why wouldn't this one? Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think if there is depth-wise, I think our top 2 lines, I think they match up pretty good. I think in terms of game breakers, I have to say, Moncton kind of has the edge. And then I think there's also kind of an edge, when it comes to that third line as well. So I think it's really going to come down to, I think the D-core has to realize that, there's a little more. Baie Comeau definitely has a little more offensive firepower than Quebec does. Yeah. So they need to be on their toes, and clearly Baie Comeau is a very good team. If they were able to take Cape Breton out in 6 games with 2 of their top 6 forwards out of the lineup and their top defensemen, they've obviously got something going on there, and that's something to watch. People think this is a 5-game series. I think they're nuts. I think that barn in Baie Comeau is going to be a difference. And, it's like I made a joke to you a couple of days ago, I hope Gardner packs his Tylenol, all right? Because it's going to be needed. Like I'd probably have a headache if I had to go watch a game in that rink.
Actually, to be honest, like if on a game night when we're not playing them, if you're quiet enough and you walk outside, you can hear the horns. Like that's how loud that building is. And there's not a lot of roof to it. And I wish that this was somehow 2-2-1-1-1, because I would love to go to this rink and see a game there. Also kind of glad I'm not, because I am prone to headaches. But I mean, like this is going to be different. And that second line with the Boyard brothers and Boisvert, I mean, you're looking at 2 very good lines where Quebec was Cote and OJ. Shut them down, which Moncton did a pretty good job. Shut them down, and you're going to be all right. Well, this is two lines that can go. Now, whether you match up Gill and Johansson against Malofsky's line and then let McKinnon and Moran play against the Boyar brothers, we have the depth on the back end to combat that. But, I mean, we've seen Malofsky just take games over, right? Yeah. And so it's going to be – I think Moncton's got to be more physical than they were in that first series. And they got to stay off the out of the penalty box as well. I mean, yeah, Baie Comeau only had an 8% power play, but you keep giving enough teams with that much talent chances, eventually they're going to score. So I think Moncton's got to be more physical with Baie Comeau than they were with Quebec.
No, and yeah, the physicality in the playoffs is going to. I mean, I think every round, the physicality in the playoffs steps up every round. So you've got to be ready for it. Crowd wise, ticket sales are looking okay. It's not. They're probably sitting where they were. Maybe a little less than what it was last round against Quebec. So
people are probably confused.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion with the scheduling. So there's still a couple days here to get the ticket sales going, and I think we're probably going to be looking at probably 5,500 to 6,000. Friday night and Sunday afternoon could be a good draw.
Sunday, that's the one.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a pretty good, family day event. So I'm kind of excited to see what kind of, attendance we can get for second round, considering how surprisingly good it was in the first. The bar has been set. Anything less than 5,500 is a letdown from here.
Yeah, that's got to be your bar. Do you want to pick this one, or do you want to wait to pick all the games till the end?
I'll pick this one.
Okay.
I think I'll go Moncton in 6. I don't want to see this series go to 7 games. I think that would just be way too much for my emotions. I think the sooner this series can end with Moncton coming out on top will be a lot better for me.
Yeah, I've got Moncton in 6 as well. I've seen a lot of 4s and 5s, and I get it. This team hasn't taken an L since February, so I understand it. But yeah, this one worries me a little bit more than Quebec does. And we've said many times, the team that beats Moncton is Moncton. So they've got to come out game 1 and kind of set their will on this. The last time this series, these two teams played, 5 of the 7 games went to overtime, including a double overtime in game 2. So let's end these things in regulation. That would be cool. I think we only had 1 game in 2018 or 2019. Messes me up when it's the second part of the year that the playoffs start. I think it's 2018, but it's actually 2019. That one. We had 2 overtimes in that one. So 14 games, 7 overtimes. Half of them went to overtime. I'm a little bit worried we might see some extra time in this one. Rimouski Chicoutimi.
Yeah, I think obviously I'm going to go with Rimouski. But I think I do think Chicoutimi will get a couple wins, so I'll go Rimouski in 6.
Yeah, I selfishly love for Rimouski to be out, but I think Chicoutimi will get wins on their big ice. I think they'll get 1 in Rimouski, 1 on their big ice. I think I've got Rimouski in 6 as well. If there's a team that knows how to play on that big ice, it's Rimouski because they're division opponents. Like I said, they're 5-3 in the 8 games season series that they had. So I've got Rimouski in 6. You've got Rimouski in 6. And then the big one that set the Western Conference on fire, Rennes and Halifax. Halifax is using the way they want to use the standings to their advantage, saying they're a 16 seed. They're not. They don't use 1 through 16 anymore. They're an 8 seed. I get it. I got Rennes in 5. I think the smaller ice I know Jacob Steinman can win games. We've seen it. But Miloš is pretty good, and he's not the backup. And I think Halifax took advantage of a backup goaltender. They played well as a unit, but they took advantage of a backup goaltender. So I've got Ruren in 5 because I just want Halifax to be eliminated. They're a rival. I'm not cheering for them. I told you before we started this, it physically pained me to see how much Go Moose Go was on our Facebook fan club. Like it pained me. That's like Boston fans cheering for the Habs, or a Flames fan cheering for the Oilers, or an Oilers fan cheering for the Flames. Like it doesn't happen. And I get that Steinman's there, and I'm glad he's having success, but it just gave me the heebie-jeebies. So call me a homer all you want. Ruren in 5. That's smaller ice, and Ruren's a better team than Drummondville was down the stretch.
Well, you know what, Adam? I'm cheering for the Oilers tonight. So with that being said,
yeah, because you need St. Louis to lose.
With that being said, Bowling Green can wait. Halifax in 6.
6.
Bowling Green can wait. Jacob Steinman wants his shot at the Wildcats. And if both teams come out of this series, that's going to be the Final Four matchup. Against Halifax. Steinman wants his shot. They're on a high right now, and I'm kind of buying into it. Everybody knows I'm a big Steinman fan, and I'm not. I don't think I'll ever not be a Steinman fan. I want to see what he's doing. I want to see it keep going. So I'll take Halifax in 6 games.
These two teams, those two teams split the season series. 1-0 and 1. Or no, Halifax lost both of them, I do believe. And then the other one who probably wants a shot at us, Shawinigan and Sherbrooke. Sherbrooke maybe surprised a lot of people, beating Blainville in 5. Shawinigan surprised, again, beating Val-d'Or, our two teams that we kind of thought were going to at least make it to the next round. These two teams set up. I'll let you go first, sir.
I really don't know where to go with this one. Sherbrooke's been surprised. They've been a huge surprise. I didn't think they'd go this far. I really thought Blainville had it in them to pass those guys last round. But like we said on the show this week, they did a pretty good job containing, that top line in Blainville. But I think Shawinigan's kind of a different beast. They've got a little more, more firepower, probably a little better goaltending in Shawinigan than Blainville. So I'll have to go with the Cataracts in this one, but I do think it's going to go the distance. I'll go Shawinigan in 7.
Yeah, I just like the run that Shawinigan's on. They were kind of like Blainville. They were peaking at the right time. They've continued that success through it. I was trying to see. I think Sherbrooke was 4-2 against Shawinigan this year, or 4-2-0-1. So I think this one, it was one of the ones that goes the distance. So I've got Shawinigan. I just don't like Sherbrooke, I guess maybe is what people will say, but I've got Shawinigan in 7. Loshing scores the OT winner. And you said, sorry, you said who? Sherbrooke?
I said Shawinigan in 7.
Okay. That goes against your prediction, bro. You had Sherbrooke going to the finals.
I know. Can't believe I'm. Usually the Phoenix will not rise.
The Phoenix will not rise. So that, based on your predictions, will give us Moncton, Halifax, Rimouski, and Shawinigan. I will have Moncton against Rouen? No, Moncton against Rouen, and Rimouski against Shawinigan.
There we go.
In the Final Four. So, all right, let's see what we got here in some of the comments. Nick Boyles goes time to go. Kelsey says, yeah, Jeremy, because you picked Halifax. She picked Halifax at 7. Vicky, they're a Maritime team. No matter how diehard Moncton I am, I need to cheer for Maritime teams. That's where we disagree, Mrs. Patterson. That's where we disagree. Nope. I can't. I can cheer for Steinman, but I can't cheer for them. Which series, other than obviously ours, are you most going to be tuned in on?
Halifax, man.
Halifax.
Yeah, like it's. I love a good underdog. I love a good upset story, and I think it's just gonna be fun to kind of follow them to see exactly how far they can take this. Because they've got absolutely no pressure on them. Obviously it's John Ruiz didn't make the moves really to that like Drummondville did, but and I think that's kind of where Halifax maybe take advantage. They're as long as they keep playing with no pressure on, they could go pretty far. Yeah,
if they get a split in Rouen coming home for 3, plus they've got, I mean, that barn's going to be packed anyways, like we always say, but they get a split and they're able to come home for 3 straight in that Good Friday game at home. I mean, that's as much as Rouen's got the home ice advantage with the smaller rink. Halifax, again, you go into that barn, it's a different rink, and they kind of feel like the 2018 Wildcats with upset, no one gave them a chance. Now they lost to Halifax, obviously, who was built to host in the Memorial Cup. They ran into that, but they do kind of feel like that. And like I said, they're full value for their win. Like, I went and looked at the backup goalie there, Shara. I think it is what his name was. And I actually thought he had a worse goals against average. He had like a 2 goals against average, which is pretty good. I think he outdueled Steinman total in the series. Sure. But
Halifax was opportunistic.
Yeah.
That's what they were. They capitalized on the opportunities that were given to them, and that's what won in the series. They just took advantage of maybe a couple of bad bounces and some power plays. That power play in game 2, that puck over glass, that was the winner in game 2.
Yeah.
Was from a puck over glass penalty. So, those, if you're going to win the playoffs, that's when you got to capitalize is when you get those opportunities. And
obviously game 1, the injury stuns the whole team. They can't. So right there, you've got a 2-0 lead, right? So, and look, from what I know and kind of hear, Lord wasn't your standout top superstar player. He was a grinder that played the grind type game that you need to win in the playoffs. So, again, maybe it's just a homer thing that I just want them out, but I want to see that. I like the Schwinning and Sherbrooke. I think those two really match up well. I'm gonna watch that one again. I picked Schwinningen. Maybe, I just wish also too these games were on different nights. Can we have 2 on one night and 2 on another night so we don't have 4? Like, we have different games going, but Friday, Sunday, games 1 and 2. If you don't already have your tickets, get your tickets. Anything else you want on the live there, sir? Kind of a quick one, but we were able to preview this. Anything else you want to bring up?
I need to go to bed.
You don't say. It's the only night without hockey.
That's why I need to go to bed.
Because tomorrow it starts in the Western Hockey League. With the Hitmen. This has been fun again. Thanks to Dave Reed for joining us. Thanks to you, sir, for jumping on. Appreciate it. And you can leave the hallway now and go upstairs or go to your house, wherever you are.
My overtime check is in the mail, correct?
Your overtime check it's not as big as if you were here because I got to pay for fuel, thankfully. Your overtime check is in the mail. Again, thanks to everyone who joined us. Thanks to Dave Reed for joining us. This was brought to you by Alpha's Appliance Solution KitchenAid, built-in savings event. Save $600 when you purchase any 3 KitchenAid built-in major kitchen appliances. $800 when you purchase any 4. $1,200 when you purchase 5 or more. And one more time, since we're live, if you have any Nelly tickets that you want to donate to us,
yes, very much.
We will take them off your hands on Saturday night. and we will guarantee that you will be the stick tap of the week for the following show. So, yeah, get your tickets, game 1 and 2 against Baie Comeau. For Jeremy, I'm Adam. We'll see you next Tuesday for the podcast. Have a good night.